You ever had those days where you just feel a little off? You're doing all the right things, eating clean, but you're still sluggish or bloated. Well, what if the problem isn't just about what you're putting in, but maybe what's already living there? Today, we're diving deep into a really interesting take on gut health, and specifically, the often overlooked question of parasites.
So let's just start with this question right here. I mean, we live in a world of hand sanitizer, chlorinated water, and squeaky clean produce. The whole idea of having parasites can feel kind of medieval, right? Something that doesn't happen in our modern world. But the source material we're digging into today says, not so fast.
And this is where the whole conversation flips on its head. The source argues that we've been asking the wrong question this whole time. It's not about if we have them, it's about how many. The idea here is that they're just everywhere, on our food, in the environment. Exposure's pretty much a given. So the goal isn't total avoidance, because that's impossible. It's about keeping things in balance.
I think this analogy is just perfect for explaining the concept. Picture one of those flexible, corrugated pipes with all the ridges and grooves. You could flush water through it forever, but you'd never get every single nook and cranny perfectly clean. Well, the author says our intestines are kind of like that. Their structure naturally has hiding spots. And that's the whole reason they suggest a periodic, gentle cleanse might be a good idea.
Okay, so if we're all potentially carrying around these little critters, how on earth would we know if the population is getting a little out of hand? According to our source, your body might be sending you some pretty subtle and sometimes not so subtle signals. Let's get into what those are.
So here's a list of things the author flags. We're talking about stuff like weird, sharp pains in your stomach that kind of move around and don't make any sense, or that super specific and annoying itchiness that seems to flare up at night. But then there's stuff you might never connect to your gut, like being tired all the time, no matter how much you sleep, grinding your teeth at night, or even kids being extra irritable, which the source links to toxins these things can release.
Now, this is a really big claim. The source basically says that so many of our most frustrating skin issues, eczema, psoriasis, you name it, are actually an outside sign of an inside problem. The theory is, when your gut is overwhelmed, your body tries to get rid of toxins through your biggest organ, your skin. So that rash that won't go away, it might actually be your gut crying out for help.
All right, so let's say some of this is sounding familiar. Your first thought might be to run out and find that one magic pill, the quick fix that's going to wipe everything out in one go. But the author we're looking at has a big warning here. That approach might actually backfire.
This chart really lays it out. On one side, you have the common method, just hit them with a powerful chemical dose. But the author raises some huge concerns. For one, that stuff can be really harsh in your system. It also tends to only kill the adults, leaving all the eggs behind to hatch later and start the party all over again. But the biggest issue is what happens right after they die. And this is the critical part. Imagine you set off this bomb in your gut. Now you've got this massive die-off, and all these dead parasites are releasing toxins. If your body's trash removal system isn't working perfectly, if you're even a little bit constipated, all that toxic sludge gets stuck. It just sits there, gets reabsorbed, and you can end up feeling way worse than you did before you started.
So what's the solution? The author introduces this idea called the prep phase, and they say it's absolutely non-negotiable. It's brilliant, really. Before you even think about evicting the unwanted guests, you spend 2 to 3 weeks just getting your own house in order. You focus on making sure digestion is smooth, things are regular, and all the exit doors are wide open.
So, if the bomb it all approaches out, what's left? Well, the source outlines a much more gentle and methodical strategy. It's a holistic path that's all about working with your body, not declaring all-out war on it.
And the star of this whole strategy is something called bitters. Yep, we're talking about those plant compounds that have that distinct bitter taste. The author loves them because they don't just do one thing. They have this amazing, wide-ranging positive effect on your entire digestive system.
So what's the magic of bitters? Think of them as a personal trainer for your gut. According to the source, they do have natural antiparasitic properties, sure, but they also do so much more. They encourage your stomach acid and bile, which creates a really hostile environment for parasites. They improve peristalsis, that's the muscle contraction that moves waste along, and they help you digest food better, which basically cuts off the buffet for the bad guys.
Now, the source does mention a couple of specific examples, like using aspen bark extract or infusions of cloves. And just to be super clear, we're just exploring the ideas in this text. This isn't medical advice. But it's fascinating to see the kind of gentle, natural tools this approach recommends.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. The author's whole method can be boiled down to this really clear 3-step plan. First, you've got the prep phase. Spend 2 to 3 weeks getting your gut running like a well-oiled machine. Second, you gently and systematically introduce those natural bitters. And third, a point so important it gets its own slide, you have to hydrate.
Which brings us to our final takeaway. It's the one thing that, according to this source, you absolutely have to do to support your body through any kind of cleanse or detox, no matter what method you're using. So, what is it?
The number one golden rule is drink plenty of water. I know it sounds almost ridiculously simple, right? But the logic is rock solid. Water is literally the vehicle your body uses to collect all those toxins and flush them out of your system. Without enough of it, everything just gets stuck. Being properly hydrated is the foundation of the whole process. So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. The next time you feel off, perhaps the question isn't just, what's wrong with me, but what is my gut trying to tell me?